Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming along this afternoon. Thank you for spending your time with us. I know how precious it is at events like this today. But this is a topic today that I think we should all take really seriously. And it's changing your mindset about how the modern guest is influencing change, particularly in the hospitality industry. And I believe in this especially because I'm one of these guests. And I think by the end of this session, you'll realize that you are one of these guests as well. So before we start, most speakers want you to put your phones away. I want you to put your phones in the air for just 1 minute. Get your phones out, put it in the air. Don't worry about the embarrassing picture on your thumbnail. We can crop that out later. Phones in the air, come on. Tom, phones in the air. Okay. I want you to keep your phone in the air if you have a music streaming service on your phone. Spotify, Apple, Amazon, if you do the cheap Prime thing. Okay, I thought so. Now keep your phone in the air if you've created a playlist on your music streaming app. No? Never created a playlist?
I haven't asked it.
Not anymore. Okay. And I want you to keep your phone in the air for just 1 minute while I take a picture, because my wife told me I'd never be able to get a room of people putting the phones in the air. There we go. Now I can't miss an opportunity to tell my wife she's wrong, because it doesn't happen very often. Okay, I want you to keep your phones in the air one last time. Keep your hands up if you've listened to any playlist that your music streaming device has pushed onto your feed to say you like this music. The daily list on Spotify, the favorites list on Apple. Yeah? Perfect, you can put them down now. I got my picture, I got my evidence. This is what I think is going to make such a difference to this conversation. Next question, and then I promise I'll do all the hard work for the next 22 minutes. Does anyone know what these three things have in common? What? A battery? Okay. I did this for 100 students last week. I got one answer. It was far too intelligent for me. It's not that intelligent. Does anyone know what the compact disc player, the mobile telephone, and the camera have in common? Tom, the first time in 10 talks, someone's got this right. It was the three things that in the early 2000s, everyone told Steve Jobs he couldn't put in the palm of our hands. 2007, this was his smile when he finally told people they'd been able to do it. But it's not the CD player, and it's not the way we listen to music, and it's not the telephone and the way we make phone calls, and it's definitely not the camera and the way we take pictures that I think is influencing change and has made the biggest difference that this device has had on hospitality today. I think the biggest change on hospitality today is that the mobile phone has allowed us to create every single moment of our life at every single time of day, no matter what we want to do. Everyone just put the phone up that they've got the music streaming service. Everyone put the phone up that they've curated their own playlist on their mobile phone. And everyone just, apart from 2 or 3, said that those music streaming devices have curated playlists on their behalf. So we now curate every single bit of our life. And this is the thing that I want to take you on the journey today of why the modern guest is influencing hospitality. Just before we go on, let me give you some context. So my name's Scot Turner. I've come all the way across the pond to tell you why the modern guest is being influenced by curation. I run a hospitality agency. We work with hotels and we do food and beverage strategies for hotels. But I've grown up in hospitality since 1998, and I worked in luxury hotels. And in 2015, I realized that restaurants were much cooler than hotels. I didn't have to wear a tie for a start. So I went to the Middle East and I ran independent restaurants, working for some of the best chefs in the world. By 2022, I was COO of a global investment firm. We had 85 restaurants on 16 brands across 4 different countries, and I was managing $175 million worth of restaurant revenue. And in 2022, I realized that time was over building brands for other people, and I wanted to do it for the people I wanted to build brands for. And that's when I set up Auden Hospitality. Since then, we've worked across 14 different countries. We currently work in 6 different countries on 4 different continents. And we're working with some of the biggest brands and some of the coolest brands in the hotel world to create their restaurant bar strategies. So that's enough about me. We talked about the mobile phone. We've talked about how that's now influenced curation. And what this has done through the digital age is it's given us so much more opportunity to interact with people the way we want to interact. And that's now shaping the way our guests want to interact in hospitality. Now, these are some of the things that the digital age has influenced, but I want to pick out 3 in particular from this that I think will make a difference to your business if you take on some of the things that we're going to talk about today. The first one is convenience. The second one is innovation. And the third one is speed. Okay, let's set the scene. I'm a data guy, right? I like to back up what I'm going to say with data. 58% of travelers are now seeking authenticity and experience. So yeah, we've always wanted to give an experience, but now people are expecting it more than ever before. And 82% of millennials and Gen Z traveled in 2024. You're going to see why that stat is so important later on in the slides, but just remember that figure. And 45% of Gen Z are now willing to pay more for elevated dining experiences. Let's put that in perspective. The people who should be earning the least are more willing to pay more if we get experience right in our restaurants and bars. That's a huge opportunity of the next generation coming through because most of them are now traveling. These are now our primary guests that we should be talking to on a regular basis. But the stat, if I can get it, there we go, that always amazes me the most is Zendesk reported that 72% of customers want immediate service. I don't know about you guys now, but in London, if I order my Amazon this morning, I get my Amazon the same day. If I want to download a music track on my phone, I don't need to make an effort to go down to the high street, to go to the music store, to get the CD, to pay for it, to get back to my house, to put it in my CD player, to play the music. I could go on my mobile phone now in front of you, I could download a track, it'd be there instantly today. That's why that mobile phone and curation is now dictating how our customers, how our guests want to be treated when they come into our venues every single day. 72% of customers want immediate service. That's a huge stat. So before we go into some of the granular bit of how I think you can really make a difference in your business, I want to cover 4 different areas of how this mobile phone, this curation, and the immediacy of the digital world has influenced our guests. No? There we go. The first one, the click, he said, when you do the clicker, make sure you stand near the back so you can get the thing. That's why I keep going back that way. The first one is convenience. Now more than ever, guests want a frictionless experience. There's a story, a young gentleman in the back there, he told me to read very early on in my journey, called Building a Brand Story by Donald Miller. And in that book, he talks about how you cannot get your guests to burn too many calories to make a decision about whether they should come and engage with your brand. So if you make it difficult for people to buy, the new guest, the modern guest, won't waste his energy on you. He'll go to the next guy who makes it super easy. That's why some of these QSR brands now are really focusing on the how to get kiosks, how to get the takeaway, how to get drive-through so seamless, because that convenience and that immediacy makes such a difference to the modern guest. So guest demandees. I want to give you one example of a project that we worked on of where this is a prime example. This was a five-star hotel. They had a swimming pool on the 8th floor. Beautiful setting. When we went into this hotel, this is what we saw in the trash bin in the swimming pool. What you can't see here is the McDonald's wrapper underneath all of this. And all the guests were bringing in takeaway food, takeaway cans, takeaway beer into that environment because this was the only way the guest could order food and drink to that pool area. You won't see this too well on this screen, but that has nothing to do with food and beverage. That's talking about what to do if someone's drowning in the swimming pool. So no one actually knew that that telephone went to anyone where you could order food and beverage. So the answer, people went outside, they went and ordered McDonald's, they went and ordered takeaway, they went and got cans of beer, and they took it up to the pool and it drank. We put QR codes in every single cabana, on every single table in that venue. That was 12 months ago. Last week I was doing this talk. I spoke to the GM of that property before I went to do the talk. In the last 12 months, they've made $500,000 from that space, from those QR codes. Just by making it easier for the guest to buy from that space. They didn't add any payroll, because when people were in the pool, it was when room service was not busy. So the guys from room service ran everything up. So that 500 grand pretty much flowed straight down to the bottom line. I can guarantee not one hotelier in the world right now would turn down 500 grand for free by putting a QR code on tables. The next one is experience. Now you're all probably sitting here going, what's this dude from across the pond coming across and talking to us about experience? Fuck me, we've been doing experience in restaurants for years. What's changing about experience? This is what's changing about experience. Remember those guys, 82% of Gen Z and millennials are now traveling in 2024? 80% of family trips are now directly influenced by Gen Z. Let me break that down for you. While daddy might be paying the bill, the son and daughter is making all the decisions about where he spends his money. So the primary target now of this modern guest is Gen Z. We talk about them a lot. I've just heard the lady before talking about how we have to appeal to them as employees. Now we have to talk to them as guests. Because directly or indirectly, these guys are the most influential people coming into our business every single day. So that means experience above all else, because these guys aren't into materialistic things. They're not into status. They're not into glamour. They want experience. But they want understated experience, and they want understated luxury. This is a picture of a venue in the Savoy. You'll see I'm very hotel-centric, but you'll take the message from it. This has been an iconic luxury hotel in London for 136 years. No one walks in this place if they don't have shoes, a tie, and a suit. It's just the way you do things. About 6 months ago, they opened this venue. It's called scoff, which I don't know if that term's here, but scoff in the UK is basically when you get a load of food and you try and get it down your throat as quickly as possible, you scoff all the food that's available, right? It's not a luxurious term in the UK in any way, shape or form. It's probably more what pigs would do than what people would do. But this luxury hotel of 136 years, probably in the top 5 in London, named their venue Scoff. What they've done it for is they're creating low barrier entry now because they're realizing that Gen Z are the primary customer. So they have to start looking at how they break down barriers, because Gen Z won't put on a shirt and tie. They want to wear the trainers and the jeans and the shirt or the tops and the hoodies. So this hotel realizes it's got to break down barriers. That's understated luxury. There's lots of people doing this in London, but there's also people doing it in retail. Look at how Ralph Lauren is putting Ralph's coffee into all of their flagship stores. They've just done it in London now. When you walk into Ralph Lauren now in Bond Street, pretty much the 5th Avenue of London, you walk into a coffee shop and you walk through the coffee shop and into the retail store. Tiffany is another one. Tiffany Cafe now is being rolled out across the world, and it's a low barrier entry for people to go in and experience the brand that then drives them into the more luxurious product after. So the message from this is not about luxury. It's about how do you create low barrier entries into your business that's going to drive people in once and then get them in again and again. The next one is personalisation. So it's about understanding what makes them tick. Will Godara this morning talked about the little things matter. Now, the little things matter more than ever before because people want to experience something personal to them. This is what I call low-hanging fruit. If it's someone's birthday in your restaurant, recognize it's someone's birthday. This was a coach of mine who went in on his birthday. They took a picture when he went in with his wife. He saw the staff on the night. They presented it when he was left. He's told about 100 people about this experience. And the last one is recognition. And this is where we have to obsess about loyalty. It's much cheaper to bring people back than it is to bring people into our business. But it's got to be in the right way, and it's got to be the right details that count, because that's what makes the new guest tick more than ever. I want to use the example of the Woot strap. The Woot strap was a one-off product when it first launched. All they did was create the strap. They used to get them out as quick as they could, because people paid $250 for the strap one time. There's an interview with Will Ahmed, who's the founder, who said the minute their business changed from being a one-off business to a subscription model, it changed the way they thought about the product and about the guest. Because no longer were they trying to get one product out the door as quick as they can to a one-time user. They're now having to keep people signing up again and again and again every single month with an easy cancellation policy. So what he said was that basically put a culture of innovation into their business that meant every single month they were looking at how they could make the experience better the next month after the next month after the next month, because people could cancel at any time. So if the product stopped innovating and everyone cancelled, they had no business anymore. So it's a completely different mindset, thinking about the loyalty mindset over how do we get people in one time only. So these are the 4 things that has influenced the guest more than ever before. And I want to give you a couple of granular ways now to really put some of these things into practice so that you can start using it moving forwards. And the first one is profiling. So profiling is something that we've been doing in restaurants for a long time. We're probably not doing it in enough detail enough so that we can now use it in our everyday restaurants and to talk to our guests. Okay, there we go. So, a couple of ways to, I'm going to do these along just because I don't want to delay the slides. We've got a simple process on profiling and how to get the data into your business. You can start looking at those 4 ways to really start influencing the modern guest. The first one is capture. How do you capture as much data in your business as possible, in as many ways as possible to get as much data as you can? Anyone here have social Wi-Fi in their business? Does anyone collect email addresses when they sign on the Wi-Fi? Hands up. Yeah, 1, 2. Perfect. We operate restaurants in London right now. We had our restaurant and we have our reservation system 7 room. We were capturing 25% of the people coming into our business until we put social Wi-Fi into our restaurant. When we put social Wi-Fi into our restaurant, we're now capturing 80% of people coming through the door. That means all of a sudden our email lists and our database has increased to 80% from 25%, which means we're now capturing more people. We went out for dinner last night, there was 8 of us. I booked the reservation. There was no social Wi-Fi, which means the only name they've got is my name, but there was far more influential people around that table than me that they should be talking to about coming back again and again. That's the lost opportunity. So the simple things count. Don't ignore them. Recognize repeat guests. We've just touched on it. Really important. If you're going to do all this work, make sure you recognize repeat guests, because people love the ego of being recognized. That's what they want when they come back to your venue again and again and again. Low-hanging fruit. Celebrate special occasions. Anyone who's using 7 rooms, it's automatic. But if you're not collecting birthdays in your business right now, collect every single birthday of people coming through your door, because it's such an easy way to get people back in on their birthday, but also tell them that you value them as well. And when you make personalized experiences, they're 30% more likely to come back again and again and again. And it's a lot cheaper to acquire guests than it is to get repeat guests. And repeat guests generally spend 67% more over their lifetime span with you in your restaurant. So not only does it make getting business cheaper, it also means they're going to spend more with you when they do come through the door. Personalized communications. There's no point in doing all the tagging and the capturing if then you're not going to talk to the people specifically about what they want to be spoken about. You all get the emails every day, so do I. The ones that you just unsubscribe to or you delete because the message isn't clear. So use the way that you tag in the system to be able to then personalize communications that's going to get people to come back. And finally, build a tribe. So when those people come back, Will Gadara spoke about this morning, we've been doing it in restaurants for years. He's just found a great way to tell people about it. Make sure that you recognize those people and you start building a tribe, because that tribe is going to be your best marketeers and they're going to be for free. And what's best is they're going to be your best marketeers that are free, and they're going to come back and pay you for the privilege of being your best marketeer. Build a tribe. And my advice to everyone as we start looking at this is start small, but start now. Number one today, to go back, you start looking at how you can get birthdays in your business, because that's such an easy way to get people and build loyalty and build brand recognition. So just to go back over that again, 82% now of Gen Z and millennials are traveling. That makes them our primary guest. These are the guys that have lived in the digital age. These are the Gen Z. They've grown up with a mobile phone. They've never known anything different. People like me and the millennials, we got it in our late teens. So we've grown up in our adult life with this, and we're now curating every single part of our life, every single day. You'll start using your phone around the hall later on. You'll be like, he's got a point. Yeah, I'm making a decision about what I do or how I use it. And curation is going on and we don't even realize it. So these guys, now our primary guest, they value personalization more than ever before. They demand experience, but the right experience. And they crave convenience, because if it's not easy to buy from you, they're going to go elsewhere and spend the money with the guys who make it easy to do so. So that's why now we have to think differently, because before long we're going to have AI. People will be going to see our restaurants on virtual reality before they come and eat with us. So let's make it count now, because this is far more scary. I always like to share these slides. If anyone's seen anything useful here, scan the QR code, it goes through to me on LinkedIn. Send me a DM. If you want the slides, you can have them. No problem. And thank you very much for taking your time. I know it's valuable. I really appreciate it. Thank you.